Hello and live. Welcome back to Heslop Tech Talk here with you. Joel here and my brother Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy, and introduce yourself.
Hello, Jeremy. I'm Jeremy Heslop, owner and operator of OmniTech Pro. We are a firm that helps businesses get with their technology and become more competitive, and omnitechpro.com.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Josh is not with us today, but fortunately for him, it's he and his wife's anniversary, and they are celebrating together and getting to have some good travel time. So he may or may not jump in at some point just to say hey and maybe say a few things, but we're not expecting that. But happy that he gets to be out with her. And but we got some great stuff here today for you. Lots of phone and mobile goodness. And so some other great articles as well. But kicking us off here first are some leaks from LeakTown. And we have a new phone from HTC that has shown up to be an interesting one. So this is going to be the HTC X10. And so they have their X9 that was fairly popular, but this is looking to be like a pretty interesting phone. So it'll be a pretty big monster. It's a 6-inch phone, so they're not messing around with that. But nothing really crazy or out of the ordinary here. It's going to be pretty big bezels, like a pretty iPhone-like bezels there. 4,000 milliamp hour, which is good to see on a 6-inch phone. They're not trying to put in a 3,100 milliamp hour battery in there and really push the limits, but it says made to last up to 2 days. Whatever that means, that's pretty debatable for a lot of people, I'm sure. But yeah, this looks pretty solid. I mean, this will be more of a mid-range phone. It's not going to have the fastest processor out. It won't be anything crazy, but HTC needs some wins after their, HTC U Ultra just kind of falling on its face. So I feel like this is going to be a solid win for them if it's really, overall going to be a solid design. I don't know. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's solid. I mean, it's
ordinary.
Yeah, it's Pixel-esque. I mean, didn't HTC make a Pixel? For Google, I can't remember if they did or not, but I mean, it looks a little bit like the Pixel to me. So
yeah, and it's. Yeah, it's not going to be, blowing anybody's minds with the bezels. I mean, HTC has to do something differently because their HTC U. Hey, friends, welcome to the chat there. They have to do something different because the Ultra was just rough and got dogged on by reviewers. The big joke was like so much wasted space because there was like a huge bottom bezel, huge top bezel, and it was just this ginormous phone that didn't perform well at all. But speaking of
HTC did make the original Pixel. At least that's what I'm finding on the internet. So that it kind of is like probably a bridge the gap between the Pixel and the Pixel 2 type form factor. So
yeah, and I'm guaranteeing that they're going to be pushing to find someone to make a bezel-less Pixel 2 because the Pixel itself was pretty dated in its design. I mean, the only reason it still did well is because software was so optimized. It was quick. It was the camera was awesome, but the design of it was. When I saw it, I was really let down. I was like, "Wow, this is that." The front bezels are like worse than an iPhone. It's bad. But everything as a package, it was still a great phone. It just now when you put it up against a G6 and an S8, you're like, what year is this phone from? Like 2014?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But speaking of some design, we've got some pretty interesting stuff coming from iPhone already. What do you got for us, Jeremy?
Yeah, so apparently somebody in China saw some schematics of the purported iPhone 8 or iPhone 7S, whatever that was. Let me share it over here. and he wrote it down on a napkin or on a scribble piece of paper, and then posted it on the the popular Chinese social sharing Weibo, and I think it's already been taken off Weibo, but it's already gotten all over the internet. So some of the things that are kind of expected and kind of already out there with the S8 and different things are there's going to be no home button. There's talks of actually having the fingerprint sensor on the back right underneath where the Apple logo would be. Very Pixel-esque, or LG, kind of how they do that on the back. And then, so I don't know if that's going to be a button, because I know they have that right now with the button on the 7.
Yeah.
But the chin and the forehead are basically going to be nixed with just little holes for the sensors and stuff that need to be on the top and bottom. The one interesting feature that I thought was the most interesting was the change of the landscape to the vertical, which would actually make for a better camera when you're holding it position in a horizontal position, because then those two cameras are going to be level, and it's going to give you a better, like, in holding it like a camera versus just holding it like a selfie cam.
Someone just said that really looks like the G6. I agree. It does. Very similar. And that's interesting to note, because both LG and Samsung were fighting over who could sell the displays to Apple for the iPhone 8. So that would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Other notable things are, without the home button on the front, it'll be like the S8 where it has the capacitive touch buttons there for everything. But I believe there's supposed to be a thumbprint reader in the actual display itself. So we'll see if that happens or not this year.
We were hoping that the S8 had that, because that was like, that was exciting. I think that they could
clutch
on the display.
Yeah. Basically, it's all rumors and speculation at the moment, but there's some interesting things coming through, like wireless charging, and they're supposedly going pretty much locked in, going to a better screen with the OLED, and
I like it.
At least that's what everybody's saying. So there's some interesting things coming on there. I think it's good for Apple to push, even though normally they're pretty safe with their design choices nowadays. I like to see them push the Android side of things a little bit further and get them to innovate as well. So it's good to see some of that coming out, even if it is trailing on Samsung's tails here with some of the design. But
I like see it apparently featured 3D sensing front camera. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
I think that has to do with kind of like the Xbox camera will have the ability to do infrared, so it'll do facial recognition and stuff. I think that's all that is.
Gotcha.
To get more of the with the 3D sensing with an infrared pulse there with that camera, it'll allow you to see 3D, so you can see depth and not. It's harder to trick a 3D sensing camera than it is to trick a standard front-facing camera, which we'll get into in my next thing we talk about. But there's some interesting things. Everything Apple Pro on YouTube, he always gets the latest schematics and has one of his designers come up with 3D models, and it usually does a pretty good YouTube presentation of what he thinks the next iPhone will look like, and it was pretty slick what he came up with as well. But it'll be interesting to see what they come out in September.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mobile news is just crazy right now. I'm actually going to switch the order up a little bit and jump to some Nintendo news, because Nintendo had their first Nintendo Direct since the Nintendo Switch came out. They had that yesterday, and lots of big things. Nothing like kind of blew my mind, but they did have a big announcements of a bunch of new games. They showed off the game ARMS a lot, and this can be either a one-on-one battle type game or a up to 4 people playing at a time. 2v2, and it looks really fun. You can switch out. The idea is that you have 2 separate spring arms, and you can have one that might have an ice feature and one that might have a fire feature, and combo them. And each character has special combos and special abilities. So it looked really fun. It looked like it was kind of fast and calculated at the same time. You got to really think about what you're doing, but it looked like a really fun game. I wasn't like too excited until I watched some of that. And then I was like, oh, this actually looks really cool. And they released a little bit of new modes and versions of Splatoon 2. There's like a PvE, a player versus computer version, and that you have to 4 people have to try to hold back hordes of salmon monsters that are trying to attack you. You got to get these special items and hold it back. And there's these huge bosses that attacked, and it looked a lot of fun. They talked about a new Minecraft Nintendo edition that has all the quote-unquote classic Nintendo things like mushrooms and Mario, and some of the like original Mario levels are built into Minecraft on the Switch version, which is cool to see. I mean, I wasn't really sure what they would add to make things more exciting, but those are some interesting things that Nintendo fans might pick up just because it'd be fun to see. Lots of new Kirby news. They had new Sonic the Hedgehog news, a Hey Pikmin game coming out this summer, but the summer is really when things are getting crazy here. And July 22nd is when the biggest game, the Splatoon 2, comes out. So that's the most exciting thing for me. But there's another thing called RPG Maker that looked like a lot of fun. You can, this is on the Nintendo 3DS, but you can play a game and make your own RPGs and have other people play with you, which is pretty cool. I thought that was a lot of fun. And it's like a classic JRPG type style, and get to design your maps, design your characters, and kind of get people to come check it out. So I thought it was a fun overall idea. They're not abandoning the 3DS yet. They have a lot still in store for it, apparently. I was wondering if they would kind of cut it off or if they keep developing, but with the new Pikmin and the new Kirby's and these RPG and a few other titles coming out, it looks to be pretty interesting. But moving right along with Nintendo news, something that kind of took me back here today was they're actually decided to speak of killing off things. They're going to kill the Nintendo Classic. Just a couple.
That surprises me.
This is so crazy. I mean, it launched back in October. This is crazy. So it's not been around for that long. And it goes from, it's $60 in stores, but people are selling it for $160, $250, and now they're just crushing it. And I part of me thinks, is this them trying to get their e-store really amped up? I don't know.
Hopefully,
like maybe they saw a big drop in some of the eShop purchases on things like the Switch and things like the 3DS, and maybe they felt that and are thinking that the Classic sold too well. Maybe I don't know. I've literally never seen it in a store. Have you seen it in stores ever?
No, I mean, I kind of made some mention of it around Christmas time, and then my birthday in March with my wife, and she was looking around for it. She couldn't find it anywhere. Pretty much as soon as it gets in, people are standing in line. It has a lot of competition with other things like the e-stores on the Wii and Wii U and with the upcoming Switch. But the biggest, I think, is the RetroPie scene on for do-it-yourselfers building. There's kits out there for less than $100 that you can play not only all your Nintendo and Super Nintendo games and stuff that would be on the Classic, but Sega and PlayStation and Dreamcast and stuff like that. So those kind of things, I think it was a kind of a stopgap play that Nintendo was doing of a throwback, and I didn't expect it to be around for years and years. Especially with only having a handful of games and having no way of really updating it on official channels. So
I saw today
it was a good run.
They got the Dolphin emulator on Android phones to use the GameCube games now. You can emulate GameCube,
okay,
which is
nice,
pretty crazy, but that's awesome. The emulation game is strong, and you can do a lot of really cool stuff with it. So we'll see where that goes. And you're right, the Raspberry Pi is a really exciting thing, but it's not really for the common person, though. I wouldn't say, like, You're not going to have your Joe Smo go pick up Raspberry Pi and try to figure it out. That's why I thought the Classic was such a great idea. But
Yeah.
who knows?
You can, the kits and stuff they make nowadays with all the retro Pi stuff put together makes it so you can just buy it and plug it into your HDMI TV. So it's gotten better than just the do-it-yourself stuff. Obviously, it's not as a clean interface as the Classic, and not as just straightforward as plugging it in and hitting a button on a controller, and there's Bluetooth to hook up or using third-party controllers and stuff like that. So it's not as clean, obviously, but
Right.
It's definitely competition still.
Dark Matter said that Apple will present the Edge screen like it's a complete innovation. I can just imagine Johnny Ives. It's like you're holding your phone in your hand like you never have before. Apple's like, this is the greatest thing that we've ever done.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have an Edge screen like the 8. I mean, they kind of have like, bezeled edges now, where it gets right up to those edges to make it feel a little bit more rounded on the corners. I doubt they'll actually have an Edge screen, but they could come out with something like the 8. But
yeah,
but I'm sure, yeah, they'll claim it's their innovation. Sure, that's what they do. They steal first, ask questions later.
Well, speaking of innovations, there's been a little bit of issue with some things on the S8. What's been happening with the Galaxy S8 and some of their software?
So, they are coming out with all kinds of great things on there. You and I were talking beforehand how they're nixing some of the stuff in Bixby with the voice and different things like that. But let's see here. But some hackers or some security guys have found pretty much a big security flaw in their facial recognition software, to the point where you could just take a picture of somebody and bypass the facial recognition security feature on the phone. So, and I'm not sure if the Galaxy S8 has the ability to have blinking in there, like it watches for you to blink before it goes through. But they did that pretty much the same thing with just a closed eyes, and then having the picture with the closed eyes and not closed eyes, and just switching back and forth. So I guess they said it took them a few hours to fool it, but once they fooled it, it wasn't. So if you have an S8 or a phone that has facial recognition, and that's the only way that you do things, then definitely be wary of the ability that people can just print a picture off Facebook and show it to the phone and they get access to your phone.
It's kind of crazy because people are saying that the reason they put the fingerprint scanner in such an odd spot was because they actually wanted to discourage people from using it and wanted them to use the iris scanner and the facial recognition.
Well, it's interesting they would say that, because they will not allow you to purchase things on their phone using the facial recognition. They will, however, with the thumb. So why don't they have, if they had that much faith in their facial recognition, why don't they allow you to buy stuff with it? They don't. So
yeah,
that shows you right there. It's more of a toy gimmick type thing. I don't know if they have a 3D front-facing camera, or if that's available. But if anybody who does, that'll definitely make it more secure, being able to see more of the depth of the face, whereas a 2D camera can't see depth. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That's very interesting. And like I said, some people said that it was that weird design where the fingerprint sensor's up by the camera, and even in their own promotional videos, the guy had the S8 Plus, and he was like, used his second hand
exactly
instead of
yeah.
Like I've seen videos of people that they're like on the S8 they can barely get it with their finger, and then on the S8 Plus they're like really, unless they have giant hands like mine, they're not comfortable. Yeah, Marquez was even saying that it was uncomfortable for him, and
he's a big dude. Yeah,
he's my height-ish, and so yeah, I definitely think that it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Something kind of interesting with the S8 is that they just released yesterday, or it was leaked, that the Bixby won't be fully ready to go when the phones ship. So they were like, Bixby's the greatest thing ever. We even put a Bixby button on your phone so you can click it and talk to Bixby. But the actual voice recognition for Bixby isn't going to work right off the bat. When you get the S8, Bixby's not going to be doing that and be working with voice. They'll still have Bixby cards, but that's just like Google Now cards. So it'll be interesting to see if this will be like a week 1 update or like month of it update. I don't know. I think that's a pretty big miss for Samsung, is this huge feature that they say is going to, you know, beat the competition and be the greatest voice recognition thing. That it does so much. That it does so much more, but you don't get it on your phone right away. And yeah, that's rough. I mean, Samsung's great with their marketing, and they'll figure out a way to get people excited. But that seems pretty interesting to have it and then it not hit. But speaking of smartphones, there's actually a new contender that I've never heard of that was leaked this week from a company called Maze, and they're going to be releasing a phone called the Maze Alpha. And Evan Blass is a known awesome leaker here. He showed this Maze Alpha. So it's an octa-core 5-inch full HD, so not UHD, so it's 1080p screen. It's got Nougat, dual rear Sony cameras, a 13 megapixel and a questionable camera, so maybe it's a wide angle. 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs or 128, 4,000 milliamp again, like the X10. And there's actually their landing page just went up as well. But it's like the Xiaomi Mix. Look at that. It's crazy small bezels again. And so who knows? You can't see the bottom chin, so it might be a big bottom chin. Have you seen the Xiaomi Mix, what I'm talking about? How it has that big bottom chin, but no top bezel?
Right.
So maybe it's like that. Maybe there is a significant bottom chin because they're cutting it off. You can see at the bottom.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're going to not show you that right now.
But it's looking,
which is fine. I mean, but yeah, it's pretty slick.
That's looking slick. I mean, dual cameras with Sony sensors, and Sony has primarily, a lot of the phones actually have Sony sensors in them because they're so strong.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Hey, if that has a good price point and it's going to have a global launch, then that could have a really good chance. The problem with like the Xiaomi Mi Mix was there's no US launch. And so you had to import it and only use some of the GSM bands. You couldn't even get all of the GSM bands. So like on T-Mobile, it only worked on like the LTE, but the other bands didn't work on it. So it was like, you know, is it worth it to even import it? Probably not. And so we'll see if this is like global launch. We don't know much about it yet, but that's the Maze Alpha from Maze. That's a company I'd never heard of before today or yesterday when I saw it. So it could be an interesting contender. And if the rest of the phone, the bottom part, is usable and it's good, to me, I like a little bit of bezel, I think, because you want to hold on to something. Like the S8 it looks good, and I haven't held it in the hand, so I'm not going to make assumptions, but it looks pretty interesting. Somebody wanted to know about the desktop feature on the Galaxy S8. So that's the S8, the DeX feature. That looks pretty interesting. Yeah, we talked about that last week, and you can look at our last video as well. We showed some pictures of it, but all it is a little tabletop dock. You can stick the S8 in, and it kind of adds some desktop features and functionality. So you can drag and drop folders and files into emails. You can obviously use your monitor, keyboard, and mouse with it. So just adding some extra functionality, if that's your thing. If you're wanting to just have one device to rule them all, and all you need is something that is going to web browse and send a couple emails and do some simple things, it might be good for you. But if you're trying to do any type of processing power, it's obviously not going to like video edit crazy. It's not going to game. It's not going to do those types of things. But it's a neat innovation, and Motorola tried it. They had it on the Continuum with Windows Phone, and it's not really caught on yet. But hey, big companies like Samsung and Apple could do it if they really push it. But it's kind of just a thing that looked like they threw in there, like, hey, we can do this. We're going to. So who knows? I'll be interested to see if people actually use it, if it's actually a functional thing when it comes here. But it could be pretty neat if they if it's got enough features and fun to use. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But speaking of some funny things, what happened with some ransomware here recently, Jeremy?
Yeah, so we're all familiar with their typical ransomware where you get a virus that encrypts all your data on your computer, and you have to pay some Bitcoin or somehow pay off the bad guys, and then they'll send you the key and you can unlock it. Or some of the older software, they've decrypted, so you can just download an app and decrypt all your software. But that's the idea of the ransomware, is they hold your data for ransom. Well, there was this kind of interesting, funny one that somebody released recently that puts a shooter game into the actual ransomware.
What?
So, okay, it encrypts all your files, and then it's like you have to get 200 million in this game in one play, and then your data will be unencrypted. So this game, I mean, actually looks like a halfway decent game. It goes along and it has like a little shooter guy that shoots out stuff from the bottom, and he's shooting all the little bad guys on the top, kind of like your first person or your little side scrolling games. But this one scrolls from the stuff comes from the top to the bottom. But you have to get over 200,000 in what they call the lunatic mode. So apparently it's not going to be easy. And they're saying that it was originally made as a joke, and then there's some sent it out there. But I just thought it was an interesting twist on the actual ransomware that's actually out there. So I think they put the original code out there so that you could, if somebody made this into a malicious version, you could remove it. But it still was interesting, the fact that, okay, now you don't have to play BTC or pay with money. You pay with your time. You know, how many hours would it take to actually beat a game like this? I don't know. I mean, he's already up to 1 million, and it's already looking like pretty bonkers to me. I wouldn't be able to do as well as this guy's doing on the video. But
dang.
So it just goes to show that some ingenuity goes into some of these things, but I think they could spend their time on, I don't know, more productive things than to hijack people's computers.
Yeah.
Cool game, but how about you just release the game? I think the game is actually released, but
yeah,
you know,
that won't get users to play somewhere.
Exactly. I guess it's if you're desperate.
Yeah.
But
so someone was asking what I would choose between the G6 or the S8. That's a hard call. I haven't had a S8 in my hand yet. The G6 is looking like a great phone. It's a little bit cheaper. So if you're looking a little bit more on the budget end, the G6 will be cheaper. But they both have a lot of great things going for you. If you could use the V30, yeah, I would love to see what that looks like. I haven't heard anything yet. If you get to play with an S8 and hold it in the hand, I held it at Best Buy, but that's different because you're just holding it there. But it feels really good in the hand. And if you like the curved edges, then that's great. But if you don't like those curved bezels, then maybe the G6 will be better for you. Both are going to be great phones. Both have a lot of things going for them. I like the G6 for the 2 cameras, the wide and the regular. You're not going to get that on the S8, but a lot of great things for both of them. You won't really notice a crazy difference between speeds of the processors between the two of them. The 835 versus the 821 isn't a huge difference. Other than that, both great phones. If you want the best of the best right now, probably the S8, but you're going to pay a little bit more of a premium for that. But the G6 will be overall a great phone. And yeah, like they're saying in the comments, the V20 is a great pickup for the price, and there's a lot of other great budget options right now. But yeah, we'll see as it comes here. And it comes down to what people want over the next couple weeks here. But I guess we lost Jeremy for a second, and you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. It's
decided to clone you.
Chrome killed me.
Nice. Well, good thing I was talking great things about you. I'm just kidding. Okay. Well, cool. Jeremy, you have anything else to wrap up before we sign off here?
Just that if you guys want to have a business or know somebody has a business, check out youtube.com/OmniTechPro or go to omnitechpro.com. And if you have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter, Jeremy Heslop, or at OmniTechPro, and I will answer all your business technology questions for you.
Yeah, he has some cool some IT consulting things on his website on omnitechpro.com, and you can do some surveys and some things to kind of see what your needs are and see how they can help you out with improving your company overall. And even if you're just an entrepreneur trying to check things out, there's a lot of good content on the site as well as the YouTube. And Josh isn't here with us, and he's not able to be with us here today, so we miss him here. But Josher14 is his YouTube channel. The link's down below. He does some Surface Pro gaming and Surface Pro 4 on his channel with some great gaming stuff, which is a lot of fun. And he's just got a new card, the 1080, and he's going to be checking out some speed and some benchmarks with that guy. So that'll be a lot of fun. But it has been fun today. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in some more videos. Might do a live stream for some Overwatch tonight or maybe tomorrow. But I hope you guys are having an incredible day. And we are thankful for you guys watching and commenting. And we'll see you guys in the next video. But as always,